Hello, welcome to Phi Mapping. Today we're going to look at a few more photographs from Shorpy.com. Great source of all these types of photographs. Check them out if you're into that. And we're going to use Phi to explore Phi harmonics within these various action sequences here. So if Phi exists in natural form, then obviously it'll be interesting to see how it exists in natural forms together. And this will be part of that experiment. So we've got some different maps, basic areas, and some different lines. So we're going to explore more with the, well, we could do start with a circle map, and we can explore these two ladies having these two women having a great time in Atlantic City in 1905. Down by the beach, carrying on. Nice. And we'll look for a basic Phi rectangle here somewhere. So from the top of her, be about that. So not exactly a Phi rectangle. To this woman, that she is actually in a very tight little Phi rectangle. And this woman is also in a fairly tight Phi rectangle. So clearly two different ones. Not exactly relative to their height, just relative to their relative position. And look at that, they fit almost perfectly together. What's up with that? Beautiful. So, what do we do with that? Yeah, maybe not much. Not sure it is. The circles are not the most effective one there. Now this one, we have got, so she is from her foot to her top of her helmet. She is pretty close. She's tighter than a Phi rectangle. But the human body is never fits in the direct Phi rectangle. It has to include the arms somewhere because they're too thin. But that gap that her blockers are creating there are basically creating a Phi window. That's your window right there. Gunnison, Colorado, 1939. Not sure who took this photograph, but it's a great picture. And these two are kind of, basically in a Phi rectangle. They're in a Phi, there's the gap. Then there's another one. So it's essentially three. They're each in their own rectangle, doing their thing. And that, as a length exercise, is going to be something like that, which is, just looking right for that window. And then if we actually turn that to her, body a little bit, try and get her right in the middle, something like that. Okay, neat. Now we'll try a little Ty Cobb here, sliding into third base, it looks like. Go from his arm again, another beautiful Phi rectangle. And the catcher, the third baseman, is in a fairly tight Phi position. Elbow, legs. And Ty Cobb kind of coming in something like that. Okay, I don't think the circle map is the best one here. Well, these two gentlemen aboard the USS Newark, 1900, showing some of the crew how this is done. Are also basically a perfect phi rectangle. From the back, from maybe his arms back there, we could say from foot to foot. That's the core of the stance. That's basically his elbow. They're basically a perfect phi rectangle apart. And what you might be able to see from this is that if that is the center area, which they're battling over, this gentleman is far more forward in his part of the rectangle than this gentleman. Again, action sequence, he could be just warming up for a nice parry, is that the word? This parry's defensive. Whatever the offensive, he's going to lunge right in there. But they're also just doing a friendly demonstration. So let's check out the phi spiral. Let's see if that tells us anything. We've got to find some iteration whereby we can capture the whole thing. So she's in the center, holding her center line, and she's trying to get low and pull her off the center line. And again, she's trying to stay behind it. That's not bad. And they're just having a good time there. Yeah, I like that one with the shoulders and knees. Also, this shoreline is kind of doing a line there too. Yeah, I like that one, and that is relative to the width of the both of them together. So their collective width equals this rectangle, which roughly fits in there about like that. Her trying to avoid the center point, I guess. Neat, neat. And this one, she is trying to break through the center point there. Her calves in position, and her head, and sort of her knee. That's almost knee, knee, knee. Head. Does that elbow? I'm not sure. There's no way to get all those knees together, but you know, lots of 2D and 3D stuff happening here. So this is all a bit of a grain of salt, but interesting nonetheless. And her body is in some ways doing this. She's kind of shifting to right on that foot there. that foot to that spiral, shoulder down, cross there, hand right there, knee, leg. Alright, just getting a bunch of power from her thigh there, I think. That changes this one a bit. But that arm, look at the arm coming down there, yeah. Yeah, getting lower, not sure. That's so funny. And if we go from just from her height, say, what does that show us? Just a tighter scenario. If we do that for each of the groups here, or if we just, yeah, isolate the spirals, yeah. Or isolate the action here. So there's 3 women there. Phi line there. Yeah, neat. These gentlemen. If we overlap them, take the same scale, turn them vertically and overlap them. That becomes the center point, and they are just off center. And yet each of them in completely different positions. Again, mostly this man on his back foot, and this man well established, filling the whole rectangle. I feel like there's something good to draw from this, but maybe this is the most significant one here. So that also vertically creates, his sword is almost right out to the phi rectangle. So again, as a square from his height, let's say that's too high, say it's more like this. Could even give him a little bit of an upward tilt. Then we can see that he's hitting all these spirals very well. Shoulders, sort of. Center, legs. And then this man is responding to that and keeping just outside this line here. If we put it on him, you can see that he's still in a bunch of good positions, but a much different position. Yeah, mostly just that. This guy's just on his back foot. I like how his sword's right at the phi line, and also that he is just slightly taller, but that won't change really anything. I mean, this is also a good stance. He's also in excellent form, just a different form. Sort of the calf, this area, thigh. Not sure how to mark that back foot there, but if we go some more centered, that's true, that's another good one. If we go centered, see he's tilted back a little bit, like this. Get him perfectly centered in there. And then his partner is slightly shorter. Also centered. And there we can see. Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, if we do the baseball one also, go from the height, which is basically about like that. Very cool. Include the hands, then that's happening. Not sure if that's the baseball or not. But if we include the baseball, neat. And let's do that with the line map. We go to the height. Yeah, that's perfect. And basically at that exact angle. Not even sure what else I could turn it to. If we put that parallel to the ground, that line, or to the eyes, which is just slightly different, like that, and put a major one right through their eyes, and you get that. Yeah, bunch of information in there. Cool. And this one, if we go to the whole thing, or basically to the height, I guess it was, gives us roughly the whole thing, especially if we put these right on the feet. Then look, her foot and her foot and her foot and this other woman's foot. Also feels like she's doing that angle and that line coming right across the thigh, that line in the arm. Highly effective. Then if we rotate that center line, and we could choose to go right down her foot there. So it's kind of, and puts her knee, her center of gravity right there, that shoulder. Or if we go to this line, it just frames her face almost perfectly. And goes right to her hand and shoulder. That's so weird. What's up with that? That's amazing. Okay, if we go from just the width of the groups here, rough size, I can't get over that leg and those feet. Yeah, cool. Bunch in there. Okay, gentlemen. Now, if we do this again, find our original rectangle, approximately to the height, foot to foot. That should be on the elbow. Must be on the elbow. It's too perfect to not be on the elbow. Likewise, that one just out a little tiny bit. In this secondary point here, this guy's getting closer to this primary point, and he's just got to step forward one. That head just directly in line with each other's back feet. But more than just the head, but like the angle of the head, of the jaw, or maybe it's just placebo here, I don't know. I can't tell, but it feels like it's the angle of the head. Certainly this angle of the arm. And to some degree from the elbow under the neck. Right through the knees. And that angle there. I mean, just all of these different angles are very descriptive. Cool. If we isolate them a little bit right to their own sword, or right to their bodies, because of that wider stance, it's putting his head lower in the composition. And a little 2D, 3D, it's hard to say, but it feels like his elbow, hand, and feet should all match. Eye to hand, hand, eye. Whereas this guy does not get the hand eye. Is that a mistake? Try and grab his elbow and his hand. If we put his hand and his elbow right in the right line, tighten that up a bit. Got his foot back in this secondary one, and that foot sort of getting at that primary one. That does the elbow and the hand. His eyes are not directly connected to his hand. Again, possibly supporting a defensive measure, but right through his neck there. And that one right down his thigh, shoulder to thigh. Yeah. Ah, yes. Somebody who knew what they're talking about could do a great analysis of that, probably. And this one, a little off center. The fact that that angle is lining up is this back foot, raised foot, bag, other foot, hand. Or knee or leg or something. That angle, and that angle. How is it possible to have all three angles basically fit? I mean, it's a moment in time too, right? These are all moving, so basically if you captured it anywhere along the film sequence, you know, you're bound to come across some alignments. So there's some of that too, but at the same time, I mean, all those three lines fitting like that. And right from the shoulder. So if we go to the width of this guy, it's very good. And if we go like that to the hands, to the feet, so we'll get rid of that for a second. Doing a bit of that, so if we get it centered on the hands, he's got one hand there and one hand there. Is that a coincidence? And somehow connected to this guy's foot. That's so, I don't know. Now if we put the line straight through his relative momentum, see, you're almost getting the same effect. This one's going to fit his foot better. And missing the hands, but certainly doing that body well. And all keyed in on that foot. Fairly well. And if we did this line here. Hard to tell where that foot is. Yeah, it feels like it's something like this. Ha! Crazy. Crazy. Okay, well, hopefully that was interesting. A lot of pretty wild alignments here. Again, we'll end on that one. From the hand to the foot to his hands right in the center. Body aligned right going through there. Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. There are a bunch of great photographs. Thank you very much, folks. That was awesome. Have a great day out there. and we will hopefully see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.